This guitar is only built maybe 6 or 7 miles that way. And I didn't know that this guitar existed a few days ago. This is a Showalter OM. This guitar is incredibly special. One of the ways in which this guitar is so special is that this walnut on the top, on the back, on the sides, this maple on the binding, all of the curly maple binding, all of that grew here in the Shenandoah Valley. Now, there is some ebony. Ebony does not grow in the Shenandoah Valley in Virginia, so on the headstock overlay, on the bridge, on the fingerboard. But all of this guitar comes from the mind of a great guitar builder named Steve Showalter here in the Shenandoah Valley. His information will be down in the description below. I went and saw his place last week. He let me borrow this guitar the next day just for a couple days because, like I said, this is an incredibly important and expensive guitar. This is the pride and joy of Showalter guitars, and I just want to talk about their brand. So I want to give a demo to this guitar and then talk a little bit about Steve, my experience of him, my friendship with him, and the guitars that he's building in the Shenandoah Valley. I'll also share some information if you're curious, if you want to know more about them. So this guitar is an OM. It shares some similar design DNA to a 1937 Martin OM. That's where he got his style for the general dimensions of this guitar, but it's very, very different than a standard OM. So let's just talk about this guitar. So the first thing and the most beautiful part of this guitar is this top. And I cannot get over how cool it is. So it's a live edge. This piece of lumber was actually rejected by a sawmill because of the rot that was in this black walnut tree. I think there's a practical and spiritual lesson about this guitar. I think that sometimes the things that are broken with you are sometimes the most important and beautiful and most unique things about you. And so this guitar has 2 pieces of live edge. So this is where the guitar started to rot away. The tree started to rot away, and instead of hiding that and putting it somewhere else, this has been put on full display, and it's beautiful. I love about Walnut. So I also have this guitar hanger back behind me that is black walnut, the grip here in the Shenandoah Valley, and it there's something really beautiful about black walnut that is deep and wavy and it moves you as it has all of this figuring. There are purples, there are blacks, there are dark browns, there's beautiful tan. There's just texture and movement throughout all of the walnut. The other main way in which this guitar is dissimilar from an OM is this big sound hole here on the side. And it's very interesting. It gives this guitar a totally different driver's experience. It is like hearing someone else play guitar, but you're getting to drive. And there's a thing that happens when the music is coming towards your face and your ears this way, that it makes the guitar sound different for sure. This guitar has way more warmth, way more depth. It is really, really enjoyable to play because you just get so much volume that you don't normally get. I think that's part of why guitar players play so loud, is because we're shooting noise that way and we want to get it to where it's as loud. So anyway, this guitar feels like I can play a little more quietly. The other thing that's really cool is you can see into the guitar, and you can't see it. I'll show some close-up shots, but you can see into the guitar and you can see some really great craftsmanship. There are walnut braces, it looks like, some spruce braces on the top. Maybe those are walnut on the top as well. So there are some interesting choices for sure. There's a maple neck block, or maple block down here, and then a maple dovetail joint neck here as well. The neck is very comfortable. It's a narrower, it's an 1 5/8", which I think is 1.63, or whatever the math is on that. Actually, I'll put it up here. But it's not even it is narrower even than the standard Martin, or the old standard, which was 1 11/16, and then it's way narrower than 1 3/4. So 1 5/8 to 3/4, whatever that difference is. I noticed it's a little tight. I mean, you would definitely learn to live with it, but just as guitars go, it's a smidge narrower here. Now the price on this guitar, let's talk about. This guitar is $15,000. That is an incredible amount of money. That is great used car price. That is, you could probably renovate a room in your house for cheaper than that. That is, you could pay for a semester or 2 of college for your kids' money. So this guitar has to be exceptional if it is in that tier of taking care of your family, taking care of your, children, taking care, your life. I mean, to be at that level. So with that, this guitar, I absolutely can see how this guitar could be worth that amount of money, because it's so beautiful, so unique, so well put together. Now with that, if you're going to ask a premium, and that is a premium price, that's a little more affordable than like driftwood guitars, but that is, Jim Olsen money, that is cheap Wayne Henderson money, that is full-on professional best in the world price. And if that's true, you cannot miss the details. And there are a few details, and I love Steve and we are friends, but there are a few details on this that miss if you're at that price point. The biggest one here, and I'll show you in some macro shots, the binding where it meets the fretboard right at the end of the fretboard here. Maybe this guitar is a few years old, but the maple binding on the sides of the neck and then this end cap here don't quite meet at a 45-degree angle. There's a small gap, especially there's maybe a 32nd of an inch gap on the treble side. And so that is just a detail that if you were to look at other comparable guitars at that same price, they wouldn't miss that detail. So anyway, just worth saying. The guitar plays very, very well. The frets, I can see that some of the frets are lifting up just the tiniest bit. So to be at $15,000, it would have to be an impeccable guitar. So what is my final take on this? How do I think this guitar sounds, and what do I think of Showalter guitars overall? I am stunned by this guitar, and I love what Steve and Showalter guitars are doing. It fires on all cylinders for me. If you know me, if you know this channel, I love local. I love good craftsmanship. I love supporting friends that are building guitars. There is something really important, and I want you all to experience this. The idea of playing a guitar that was built by wood that grew up in the same part of the world that you grew up in, and helping you process life and offer music and friendship into the world in that place. Dude, I'm in. I want to find a way to own a Showalter guitar. I would love, if you've seen the other video, there are some Sycamore guitars that are top, back, and side Sycamore, which I love. It is a dream that I would get to own a property close to some water that has big sycamore trees in the Shenandoah Valley. There is something deeply nostalgic and comforting about those. My mom passed away when I was younger, but my mom, we would go walk by the river, and she would always tell me about how much she loved these giant sycamore trees. And so I see them, I remember my mom, and so the idea of having a guitar that would be that connected to people, place, time, and to my heart would be really cool. So overall, I think Showalter guitars are really wonderful, and I'm amazed at how great this guitar sounds, because usually when you get away from the standard recipes, spruce, mahogany, spruce, rosewood, cedar on the top, once you get away from that recipe, sometimes you're making big trade-offs, and this guitar sounds wonderful. I think American builders need to pay more attention to walnut. I'm very disappointed in Gibson that they've moved so far away from the J15, and a lot of their walnut guitars seem to be way, way, way on the back burner. I think that walnut, if we are looking at cool tones, cool guitars, sustainable wood that is readily available in the US, walnut seems to be the answer. It's beautiful to look at. To me, this is far more beautiful than Indian rosewood. Indian rosewood's boring and looks like chocolate pudding. And this is just shockingly beautiful and wonderful. So I'm very excited about this guitar. Thank you to Steve. Thank you to Showalter Guitars for letting me borrow this guitar. I've been very careful with it, and it is quite expensive. And thank you for watching this video. Make sure you're subscribed. I'm Jeremy. I'm the Guitar Hunter. I want you to fill the world with music and friendship, because I think when you get the right guitar in your lap, that's what happens. It spills out into the world, into music and friendship, and that's what the world needs, to feel connected to each other, and music is an amazing way to connect people. So, thanks for watching.